I actually think we can state that in 18 to 24 months, we can radically change the culture and unlock the potential in the people in the culture. How do we do that? Where are the innovations? What we've done is we've taken operating system thinking to the human capital. Not dissimilar from what Six Sigma does to manufacturing or Lean does to manufacturing. And then we use smart measurement tools around mindset and behaviors and algorithms to drive smarter decisions. So the CEO often asks, how does this work? It works. You define the signature of the mindset and behaviors, either for culture or leadership or both, that the business needs. Not what it wants, what it needs, given its unique context. And then you measure against that signature on a roughly 90-day cycle basis, either on culture, on random samples, and I can measure a factory or a branch or whatever it is, or individual leaders using Smart 360 tools. So now I have signatures, I have data on how big the gap is, or actually I prefer to call it the opportunity. And then I use that data inside the business, inside the people processes, to drive my hire, fire, rotate, promote decisions, my development efforts. I integrate it into the conversations in the business. So when I talk performance, I talk financial performance, operational performance, culture performance, and leadership performance.
That's what's come to my mind. What we are saying, that we are connecting behavior patterns, culture, signature, with performance. What we have realized that it is equally important to understand and define clearly what performance is. Historically, performance is a blurred concept. Some people will say it's profit, some people will say it's sales, but what it is that energizes people to deliver that performance. The decision about what is performance needs to be equipped with behavior economics as well.
I agree. The first conversation with clients is not about mindset and behavior. It's about what outcomes do you want to achieve.
Right.
And invariably, if it's a bank, it's going to be a combination of sales and service and efficiency. If it's in mining, it is throughput, efficiency, and safety. If it's a call center operation, it is do not overpressurize the customer, yet sell as much as you can, yet optimize attrition. So those, what seems to be in conflict outcomes, we immediately nail down, and then we start to model analytically, triangulate that to find the sweet spots, using measurement of mindset and behaviors to actually find how do I optimize this in a way that analytically is highly complex, that on the surface is dirt simple.
Well, I say that people understand that what we are doing is not fluffy, softy, psychologically rich, but without clear drive to outcome.
That's right.
And that's the connect which we are after.
We're obsessed with two things. We're obsessed with people, and we're obsessed with outcomes. And we're very happy to say, actually, it's a completely valid conversation in a business to talk about mindset and behaviors and talk about outcomes. And what we do is provide the bridge between them using analytics.
I think that seemed to me, when we started to discuss all these things, that seemed to me as the hardest bit to kind of get my head around, like, because this is what's been missing for so long, right? So it's the glass bowl or the black box that actually builds the direct connection between behaviors and outcome.
It used to be implicit, we make it explicit.
Okay.
And what the key here from a practical point of view, the innovations are actually 3 or 4. The first is that we set the frame for where to go on behavior and mindsets, which we call a signature. It is now the equivalent of a financial target on the behavioral side. Then we use a whole bunch of clever proprietary measurement technologies to measure the gap, either for a group of people on culture or for one individual on leadership. Then we have all that in a database with all the outcome data, and we train algorithms that start to connect the links between outcomes, behavior, and actions in a virtual analytical loop. That's what we do.
What I am amazed all the time, and I'm not an expert on that, is the innovation on the sensor side. And that might be an interesting piece to chip in.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that as well, because we've mentioned that people enjoy actually the data
You
collection.
use games, you
is
use
weird.
even biometrics, quite a number of tools. And this is not just a questionnaire which creates more biased answers. I very much like the gaming and the simplicity of these questions being produced by the SQN team.
We call the measurement surveys for the lack of a better word. Actually, the eternal word is sensors. And it's all about actually finding and reading what's going on with people in a very gentle way, very positive way, and then use analytics to read that signal. So what we call a survey very rapidly is becoming much more of an online dialogue and much more of an online coaching event than it is, I'm going to judge you. Actually, we have no surveys that ask judgmental questions. We simply have surveys or dialogues or an interview that ask you, please share your observations. And everything is positive, and you trade off, and you do games, and you do this, and you do whatever, and the analytics reads what it is that you actually are saying.
So sticking with the practicalities, what are our answers to people saying, oh, another, survey for the lack of better word, how much time do I have to put into this? Is it the same as these 360s and all that?
Well, we always get that question. Actually, to be very specific, when it comes to culture, an employee spends an hour per year on our interfaces. When it comes to leadership, a leader spends an hour per quarter. Net, because this does take out existing 360s and existing engagement surveys, because this is high quality information, net, they spend less time.
So that's the tagline I had in my mind around this was smarter data, replacing all the big data.
And what I was surprised, when you deploy artificial intelligence, smart data, always the question of Big Brother comes in. And I think as long as you take the people along and you give them freedom to opt out, they love to be in. And they are not concerned about Big Brother. Correct?
No, it is. So it's when we start to work with a client and we develop the signature for the leadership say that the business needs into the future. And if we develop that on a Monday and announce that to organization on Tuesday, you shall be this on Wednesday, it's not going to work. Yeah? It doesn't. But if you actually tell people or leaders, you've got 18 months or 12 months or 2 years actually to become the leader the business needs. And I'm going to give you the toolkit for you to go and grow into that leader. That is a fair request. Because what we do in many ways, we institutionalize tough love. We don't pander.
We don't
pander. We're not telling people this is all going to be easy. You don't change if you want to. That's not what this is about. You're not doing that in any other area of the business. We're basically creating a case where you say, actually, this is the kind of leader the business needs. Here's where you are today, factually and objectively. And here is now context for you to go on a journey to become that leader. And we're going to help you. But if it's a private equity type of situation or the company is in distress and a turnaround, it is not conditional that you need to go and grow in that direction. How you do it is up to you, because we all make choices whether you want to do it or not. And in some instances, people say, actually, I don't want to. That leader, I don't want to become. And then you leave and you go do something else. And actually, people come in who gets hired in because they want to be that leader. It's a very open, transparent, sensible process that we put in motion. Yeah? We're not trying to create a cloning engine or control people. We're just saying the business needs this kind of leader. The same way that in a bank, you need this type of technology. We need that leader. And actually, here is where I am versus that leader. And here's a process for me to go and grow.
A related question to that could be, so do you expect, if I'm speaking for the leaders in the company, do you expect us all to be same in a way if the signature applies to all of us?
I mean, the signature is a very interesting thing. So actually the business itself looking at the average leader, is trying to get as close to the signature as possible, because the signature is highly predictive of performance analytically. For the individual leader, if it's like 7 energies within the signature, yeah, there's absolutely fair to say to leader, I expect you to be hygiene level on all. And you need to be distinctive on 1 or 2, because you need to stand for something. It's entirely fair. Then if you look at the average, and if I have all leaders being distinctive in the same area, then I'll sort it out through recruiting. But it's entirely fair to turn to leaders and say, actually, you should have something you're great at. And there are certain things you should be good enough at. Mm-hmm. And that's fair, because you're a senior leader, and why would you otherwise be a senior leader? And we find that people respond quite well to that.
And again, the question is what is generic and what is bespoke? The information allows to hit the right sweet spot. You can tap into the global database of ours, which is learning in continuity, and do things which other people love to do and produce results. But at the same time, the individual bespoke characteristics are extremely important, and it's not either or, and it's the good balance in between of the two.